Hi guys, it's Sasha. I just finished the second Fat Vampire audiobook called Fat Vampire Tastes Like Chicken. Fat Vampire 2 Tastes Like Chicken. By Jonny B. Truant. This one takes place about roughly 6 months after the events in the first book. And at this point, Reginald is adjusting to the fact of, well, he's adjusting more to his abilities, and but he, at the start of the book, he's dealing with a supposed buyer for one of these treadmills, and the guy is pushing him almost over his limits. And at one point, Reginald, he basically can't handle anymore and falls flat on his face and nearly breaks the treadmill. And then at one point, Marcus is there, and he realized that Reginald is basically being harassed, and he takes the guy and shoves him so far that the guy lands on another treadmill, and kind of find out this is not an ordinary old human. It's a incubus. And the reason they were able to find this is because the guy ends up changing his form. And they're known, incubi are known for to be shapeshifters, as well as seducers of women. And from then on, things just get stranger. There's a threat regarding angels wanting to destroy the vampires. Apparently, in the vampire myth of origin of this series of books, is that apparently there were 6 angels, and man was divided into 2 types: mortal and immortal, like hunter and prey. And it was due to the fact of Cain and Abel. Cain was responsible for all death, because he killed his brother. And Abel is the protector of humanity or something like that. That part was a little weird. That part was okay, whatever. But there's also something to do with the other parts of the Vampire Council besides the American branch. They have to go to Luxembourg. Actually, first they go to France. They go to Paris first, then go to Luxembourg to meet an old friend of Marcus. And he's a vampire who's very flamboyant. Not gay per se, but more into sex. And they also find out some things about Claire. This is later in the book. That the reason her mom has been so drained of energy, so to speak, Claire's thinking she's always drunk, is because she's been taken advantage by a incubus. And kind of find out that incubus is Claire's biological father, which leads to Claire having some not visions per se, but predictions about the future of what's going to happen with the vampires. And one of the angels is okay, you have so many days to convince me. It was 30. You have 30 days to convince me not to kill you. Like, what is so great about the vampires? Um, they, in his mind, and in fact, a few of the vampires' minds, they are stagnant. They don't grow. They don't change. Um, and there's also a subplot of uh, Nikki finally being turned by um, Reginald, and then both all three of them having, Nikki, Marcus, and Reginald having to deal with the fact that we have a new vampire in our ranks, and having to deal with help Nikki deal with the reason deal help Nikki deal with the fact that she is a vampire, and all these things are happening to her. And the funny thing is, Reg gets a little jealous because he finds that she's better at hunting than he is. But it's also a few other things, like Nikki reveals the reason why not only why she wanted to become a vampire, but how she met Marcus, and how Marcus became her mentor, and her education of how to become a vampire. And it's also, again, the same time, well, not the same, sometime later, that Claire does show up in Luxembourg with her mother, because Reginald planted a suggestion to the mom to take a trip. And they do, and this is when Claire finds out about the incubus, who was basically stalking her mom, and the result of that being her. So, this one was good. I mean, as far as sequels go, it has a bit more of a plot and some humor, some, like, a little confusion as far as, for me, like, how the quote story creation goes for the vampires. I mean, not every vampire novel, but a lot of vampire novels have to have, like, their own vampire creation myth, and this one did, and I was like, okay, it makes sense. I am looking forward to finishing the rest of the series. I probably won't start on book 3 yet. Just not. I'm not sure when I'll start on book 3, because I want to like check out some other things first. But I will continue with the series. Jonny B. Truant, as a writer, he is getting good. He's really good. This actually came out in, I think, 2017. But the audio book didn't come out until 2019. Well, at least this version anyway. And I am enjoying his style. I do like the way the world is so far. It does. I mean, it honestly does have a True Blood feel to it almost. What the ironic thing is, they do reference True Blood. Not necessarily the books, but the TV series, and even reference the blood substitute, which would be interesting if they actually did that for this series of books. To have the vampires develop a substitute for the blood. But I would recommend this series to anyone who's interested, who likes a little humor, who likes to see somebody who's not your average good looking guy becoming a vampire, more of the average Joe becoming a vampire. I mean, it's actually really good. And these are my thoughts on Fat Vampire 2, Tastes Like Chicken by Jonny B. Truant. Bye.